form on your left.
Hey, Eddie,
Fill it out.
is it just this quarter that John's teaching that class on Mondays?
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, it's 5:30 and I'll call the community development. Community. Hard talking Eddie's gonna. Go ahead, Eddie.
I believe the first item, Mr. Mayor, I think you're gonna take that one to carry on.
Yeah, just want to make sure that that you all are aware. Tonight in the council meeting, for up for first reading is an ordinance that would authorize you to, or authorize me to sign an economic development agreement with Experion. This is a local income tax credit that per, I think it's a 2011 ordinance, authorizes me to negotiate economic development agreements with companies that could potentially locate here. In your packet, yeah, there's a copy of the agreement in your packet for council. This agreement was one that was negotiated prior to Experian making the commitment to locate here. It was part of the package that helped to attract them to come here. Experion applied for and received from the state a job creation tax credit. So that enables us to initiate a local income tax credit as well. This tax credit will be for 50% of the payroll tax that Experion will pay annually to the city. If you look on your paperwork, the agreement is scheduled to begin January of 2015 and run for 5 years. I lost my train of thought. Oh yeah. From having recently spoken with folks with Experion, they're still looking to begin operations there in probably the fall of this year, maybe a September, October time frame. It's going to kind of depend, but sometime in the fall is when they're planning on beginning their operation there. Since that would only be a portion of 2014, he structured the agreement to begin in January of 2015, and then, as I said, would run for 5 years. Now, the kind of the nuts and bolts of how this tax credit program will work is this. Let's say, and I'm just using round numbers here to make the math simple for me. Let's say that the amount of money due to the city of Heath for a year's worth of payroll tax, let's say that that amount due is $10,000 for a year. With a 50% credit, that credit amount will be applied toward their corporate profit tax. So, the business would pay $10,000 for that year in payroll tax. If the amount of profit tax due from that company is $15,000 for that year, a 50% of that 10,000 is 5,000. That $5,000 credit will be applied toward the $15,000 owed in business profit tax. And the company then would pay $10,000 that year in business profit tax. There's paperwork that the company will need to maintain with us, as well as the state, that helps to document what the credit amount is, because that way we can make sure that both sides agree on the figures. But in a nutshell, that's how the tax incentive program would work under this agreement. I'm excited. This is the first program such as this in the city. It was one of the factors in the package that helped to attract Experion to Heath. It is, I believe, a pretty strong indicator to other manufacturers and businesses that are currently looking to expand into new locations, that Heath is aggressively wanting to attract these companies and help them be successful in their new ventures. So the first reading of that ordinance is tonight. I would recommend to council that you hold it for second reading later this month, and then vote on it later this month. And I would ask that you approve that ordinance. Anybody have any questions? Thanks, Eddie.
The next item, digital billboard. Barnes Advertising, they own the billboard that currently sits on the Gas America, well, it's Speedway now, but sits on that property, hovers over the gas tanks. They applied for a variance a couple months ago to transfer or install a digital billboard and remove the static face that currently exists on that billboard. So they will be doing that within the next couple months. They received a permit for that, and the actual digital billboard that they're installing will actually be smaller in size compared to what's up there now. So instead of coming down the road bringing that.
And it'll be subject to the dimming regulations and things like similar to what we have out here, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so smaller sized billboard.
I have a smaller.
I don't know exactly what's that. I can't remember. The next item, Thornwood Drive. We're currently planning on getting that paved within the next 3 months, I think. The bids came in with Shelley being the low bidder on that project, which actually came in 2.44% below the state estimate. So, every year or every 10 years, ODOT has a system called the Federal A Route System, in which they designate certain functional classifications to roadways. Each community gets a certain number of mileage which they can allocate for roadways in the community to put on that Federal A Route system. In return for putting the roads on that system, you receive federal dollars to perform projects on those roadways that you designate within the functional classification system. The last time it came around was in 2004, so this is a 10-year review. we're allowed to add and remove roads or make adjustments to what's existing. We have reviewed what's currently on the federal aid route system, and we have a few changes that we'd like to propose to make. One of them is to add Licking View Drive and connect the road to the system. And then, in order to make the mileage even out, we are planning on asking to remove Heath Road, 2nd Street, and then a portion of Thornwood Drive south of Connector Road.
And the Licking View Drive, is that all of Licking View Drive? The whole thing from Third Street over, or just in a certain
It would be
segment?
from Hopewell to 30th Street.
Okay.
And we'd actually have to add a portion of 30th Street as well. Just because every roadway that you designate within the system has to connect to another that's already in the system, so.
So
79
we would have
is
to
already-
include that southern jog right there, like where the Kroger entry is and that.
Yeah, connected to 79 and the rest of 30th Street. So,
I know
Yeah.
in the planning commission meeting, it was described the reason why it's advantageous to try to trade, equal miles for each other. Do we know if removing Heath Road, 2nd Street, and that portion of Thornwood, will that equal the miles that we're looking to add?
the mileage, we're gonna be asking to add, I think, like 0.8 miles.
Okay.
to it, But it's not.
Okay.
We were thinking about adding Central Parkway, but we talked to Randy with ODOT, and he's eligible to be on the system, so.
Okay.
But
Yep. Do we have to do anything as council, or do you guys just do it in-house?
I believe it's still,
Okay.
we're dealing with all that on that.
I heard Mark ask you what portion of Cornwood Drive did they approve of doing?
It's the portion south of Connector Road. Right now, they just have Thornwood Drive is kind of how, the way they have it drawn on the map is as if it connects to 79. So we were just gonna add Connector Road that would connect the two. And get another road on. The final item, the mayor, Dan Wilkin, and John are all working to, we get a parade for Armed Forces Day on May 17th, so that's currently in the works.
As y'all can imagine, Jan's very thorough in helping to organize this, and want to say thanks to those who have already expressed a strong interest in participating. It includes a number of veterans groups. The Heath Marching Band has committed to participating. And, as I've said before, we want this to be a countywide participation for this parade. So I'm in the process of reaching out to high school bands in the county to see if they'll participate. Jim Watercutter has been helpful in reaching out to the various veterans groups in the county, and so we're working to try to make it a nice event. John updated me earlier today, indicating that the mall had absolutely no problem with the parade being formed, over there on the Ring Road area, and so that was very helpful, and we appreciate that. So things are beginning to come together. I've heard a lot of positive feedback about the idea of trying to honor those who are currently serving our country. So.
You think?
No, that's it.
Anybody have any questions? Meeting,
Make the motion, we have a council meeting early.
How long is he gonna be doing this? Teaching?
Be nice if you could do that.
Can we just give a window to the public?
March meeting at least. Maybe
No, it's in the chart. I
March.
think the time is in the chart.
Yeah. Maybe change the charter to
Put
say
that in
somewhere
box.
between here and here. Stating this being immediately after caucus, and then you do caucus, whatever you do after that. Mayor, are we gonna need any kind of executive session or anything?
Yeah,
We're
I-
gonna have some time.
Yeah, I know Keith has that request on his agenda for personnel. I'd also like to have a separate executive session to discuss contract negotiations. If you want to do that before the meeting, after the meeting, it's your call.
We'll see what we do time-wise.
This was
Move
right
right along,
along,
we can-
so I think we can
Yeah.
probably.
I don't know, Crable was good for one-on-one, man. He's gonna second, third.
Yeah, I'm prone to doing that. All right, Finance Committee meeting is called to order at 5:46. One legislative request authorize the disposal of certain life pack cart defibrillators to allow exchanging them for new equipment from Looking Memorial Health Foundation as provided for in a grant. There it is. Nika's not even
I just
done.
filled that out just now. I don't know if there's a legislative request floating around, but I think Mark had requested that.
Yeah, because he did not have a legislative request on his agenda last January.
Something, a couple times, or a couple of things he needed to check on with that.
Fixed asset, did you find out whether they had a fixed asset thing or not? Was that one of the things?
Maybe not.
I don't believe they were.
I think we established that we can trade back with the hospital to get the new equipment. That was the question that I remember.
All I know is he asked me to put it on my agenda, and I did.
Okay.
And since I didn't have a legislative request,
Probably.
I started one. You can check with him and see if you proceed. Doesn't,
Do you recall?
Yeah, he may present it
There were
next
some
week.
specifics that,
That was the only specific, because Keith had cautioned to make sure that they weren't a city asset or on the city asset register. And if they were, we'd have to create an ordinance just to say that we disperse those, I guess, back to the hospital, right? Is that what it is? I say we just do the ordinance there regardless, and we cover it, tell them whether it is or isn't, because I haven't gotten an answer from the chief, he hasn't said anything to me.
Which if that's how the legislative request has been, if it's written to authorize the disposal of it, and it covers what you just said.
that says,
I say we just pass the ordinance, be done with it, then we're done with cover ourselves.
well, get this out of committee at least, and if it ends up you don't need an ordinance, you can pull it.
Yep.
other comments, committee? Okay. Other items, related party questionnaires, everybody filled that out apparently?
Everybody except Doug. Thank you very much. The auditors, by the way, on other items, the auditors will start in tomorrow. Gonna be interesting with, the new assistant auditor. She is kind of wound tight about it.
Is she?
A little bit.
It'll be all right.
I know it'll be all right. At a later date, and I'm not sure when, I'm hoping to have a city potluck, kind of in Linda Richards' honor. She's gonna be coming in, like, the last 2-week pay, she put in 3.5 hours. So she really is transitioning out, and this could not have gone better. I'm just really thrilled.
And a large part of the reason for that, I think, is Linda herself.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Anything else, Keith?
Executive session to discuss personnel. One other point I'll make as well, noticed in the, January 21 minutes that indicates you may want to amend the minutes. I don't know why there were, I believe, 3 things that were went into executive session for. And you'll see that Crable moved to discuss in executive session economic development. There's no other comments. There were 3 topics: personnel, collective bargaining, and the tax incentive prospect. So I guess I would suggest that that be amended. I don't know why Lynn didn't. I guess because Lynn doesn't come in here to know what's going on.
Mm-hmm. You're right. The executive sessions were in regards to personnel, collective bargaining, and to discuss economic development incentive negotiations, as I recall. Those were the 3
That's
separate
my
topics.
notes. So
Tim, do you have that?
I'm looking for the minutes. I either didn't pull them out of the box or.
Because you normally kind of do
Yeah,
that,
and I
right?
told her,
You
I
give her-
probably told her wrong, or,
Okay.
or she didn't write it all down, I don't know, but I didn't tell, I'm pretty sure I didn't tell her that whole mouthful you just said.
My money's on town. Make no mistake.
I second that motion. Oh, we're not, going to make, so we'll make that
I
amendment,
mean, make
right?
it,
Whatever
yeah,
we do,
however it needs to be
we'll make
written
that
down,
amendment.
just, you know.
So, at this
Like I
point,
said, we went to executive session and speak about this, you know, and I didn't, you know, it was more or less just a blanket thing, so, you know.
so if there's no other items for finance committee, then I think it's probably appropriate for me to call for executive session. Make a motion based on discussing personnel and contract negotiations.
You waiting on me?
We got a motion and a second, Tim.
Oh,
We're all ready
All
for
right.
you.
all right, got a motion and a second, all in favor of executive session, say aye.
All right.
Opposed, same sign, we're in executive session, so everybody doesn't need to be here.